I tried to stay away from this movie. I really did. By this point, we all know what to expect from the MCU, and the reviews when it first released told me everything I needed to know. That being said, Thunderbolts was critically panned, and I enjoyed that one. So with a morbid sense of curiosity, I sat down on the couch and streamed Fantastic Four: First Steps. It was worse than I could have imagined. The first thing you've got to understand about this movie is that it's all set up. The MCU is gearing up for Avengers Doomsday, and they've got to get all their ducks in a row so they have something approaching a story when Robert Downey Jr., whom we still haven't seen in any meaningful way, takes the stage as Doctor Doom. This means that nothing, and I do mean nothing, in this movie matters beyond the introduction of Marvel's first family and the birth of Franklin Richards. Which makes it all the more sad when you realize that Marvel failed at the one thing this movie had to do in order to be relevant. That being making us care about the characters. Look, I love Joseph Quinn. I think he's a rising star in cinema who's been continually hamstrung by projects that, on paper, should have been home runs.
I say you're asking me to follow you into Mordor. But, the Shire is burning.
Ebon Moss-Backrack has been a standout actor since I first saw him in The Punisher.
I'm a popsicle.
And Pedro Pascal, overexposed though he may be, generally turns in a solid performance. So by process of elimination, there's really only one person to blame for this cast's problems. And that person is Vanessa Kirby. She sinks this movie. She has no charisma, no chemistry with the rest of the cast, she rarely emotes, and when she does, you could literally blink and miss it. She has no apparent maternal instincts with Franklin, no familial affection with Johnny, no spousal love with Reed, and no apparent ability as an ambassador or public speaker. I honestly can't figure out why she was cast in this movie when you have other brilliant actresses like Rebecca Ferguson, Emily Blunt, or Margot Robbie waiting in the wings. I would have rather have seen Emilia Clarke as Sue Storm. She might not be the best actress in the world, but she's got great chemistry with everyone I've ever seen her act opposite. And that's really what my complaint boils down to. Vanessa Kirby has no chemistry with anyone in this film. And when you've got an ensemble cast like this, a cast you're trying to get across as a family, you need that chemistry. I will concede that anyone who's stuck around this far into the MCU's life cycle probably knows the story of how the Fantastic Four got their powers. So it makes sense that the writers would yada yada this background so they can get to the main plot as soon as possible.
ASAGDMFP.
The problem is that, popular though they may be, the Fantastic Four do not have the same kind of pull as someone like Batman. Their backstory hasn't been played to death on the silver screen. We still need to see what happened to them in order for us to care about the characters and their personalities. We need to see Reed watching as Johnny is consumed by flames, and Ben Grimm is painfully transformed into a rock monster. We need to see these things so that when Reed starts talking about how he feels helpless and how he should have seen XYZ thing coming, we know that he's experiencing the same helplessness that he felt on board the Excelsior. Even basic flashbacks of the event would have gone a long way in establishing that kind of connection. As it stands, it felt like he was just whining that he wasn't smart enough to predict every outcome to every scenario that he encountered. A brief shot that would have gone a long way towards explaining how he was feeling would have been him seated in front of an empty blackboard, a piece of chalk in his hand. For the entire movie, we've seen him in front of blackboards, constantly writing out equations, puzzling through, and solving problems. By adding a moment like this, it would reinforce just how out of his depth he both is and feels. It would have helped the audience connect with him in a way that this movie sorely needed. Given that this movie had a total of 5 different writers on it at various stages in its development, it would make sense that the story is kind of all over the place. It doesn't excuse the writing by any stretch of the imagination, but it explains it. With that in mind, I want to go into a couple of the primary issues that I had with this script, and why this slapdash approach to writing will always do more harm than good. First up, we've got the whole pregnant woman in space thing. I will preface this by stating that I am neither an astronaut nor a physician, But when you're pulling 4 Gs on a rocket launch, I cannot imagine that that's good for a fetus. Now, an easy way to mitigate this would have been showing Sue putting a force field around either herself or her stomach, but that would have required a modicum of thought regarding the situation that the writers put her in. Furthermore, the whole 0G birthing scene was clearly written by someone that has never been remotely close to an actual childbirth.
I'm going to poo in front of people?
No. Yeah.
No sweat, no tears, no bodily fluids floating around, just one half-hearted grunt from Vanessa Kirby, and we've got a perfectly clean 6-month-old baby that never lets out so much as a squeak. Great job, guys. I will say that, to their minor credit, at least they worked around the crutches that writers have been using lately to avoid actual work. Those crutches being the words algorithm and quantum. They showed Johnny putting in the time to translate the Silver Surfer's language, even if he did it using only 3 translated words. However, that credit is immediately clawed back due to the utter stupidity of the team's plan to get rid of Galactus. Impossible undertaking of building those structures aside, we were shown in the beginning of the movie that you clearly need an apparatus at the other end in order to arrive at your destination. An apparatus which definitely wasn't there either when they were trying to transport the Earth or Galactus. Add to that the fact that they have the entire planet storing energy by switching off the lights, but neglect to mention where this stored energy is being kept. It's like they thought power plants served a dual role as capacitors and generators. I mean it when I say that this is the worst written plan in MCU history, and that's coming off of a long line of stupid plans. Finally, we've got atrocious dialogue moments like this.
I will not sacrifice my child for this world, but I will not sacrifice this world for my child.
Clinging to the last vestiges of the Whedon one-liner, the movie decides to undercut the importance of this moment by using wordplay to try and make Sue seem quippy. The line shouldn't be, "but I will not sacrifice this world for my child," but rather, "and nor would I sacrifice any of yours." This small change establishes that Sue is not just thinking about the monolithic block that is the world. She's thinking about the billions of mothers and children that have been affected by her decision, and it establishes that the Fantastic Four don't view themselves as the only important people on the planet. I've got a whole list of other issues with the writing in this film, but if I bullet pointed all of them, we'd be here until the new year, so let's just move on. If you've been watching my channel, or any other commentary channel for that matter, then you know that we've all been desperate for a return to practical effects. Real sets, real props, real things for the actors to play off of. And while Fantastic Four does scratch this itch, it does so in the barest, most box-checky terms imaginable. To illustrate my point, I've got 2 examples for you. The first is Reed Richards' lab. Yes, he's got computers and sofas and tables which can theoretically be used, but every single thing in this room looks like it was created by the same people that make the furniture at the McDonald's play places. It's all shiny, formed plastic that looks about as comfortable as a colonoscopy, and is well used as a window display at a furniture store. Even the team's bedrooms have this sterile feel to them. They look exactly like what they are, movie sets. Furthermore, they look like movie sets that the actors were told to disrupt as little as possible, so there wouldn't have to be any reset between takes. Secondly, there was a profound lack of care taken with their construction. As an example, let's take a look at Ben Grimm's seat aboard the Excelsior. We're told that it's been 4 years since the accident that transformed him into the Thing. More than enough time to retrofit the ship around his new physiology. Yet both his seat and the controls he uses are still designed for the butt and hands of a normal human being. It's a small complaint, I know, but it's this kind of thing that shows the lack of care that was taken in designing these spaces. They just wanted people to stop complaining that everything was CG. And speaking of CG, the movie is littered with moments like this. Who the hell approved this shot? This looks like something a student would submit at an art school as part of their application package. For a movie with a production budget of $200 million and change, this is embarrassing. Oh, and then there's this little moment. If you haven't seen the movie, allow me to elaborate. The team is returning from their expedition to space, newborn in hand, and this is their semi-triumphant arrival back on terra firma. Please note that there is no ship behind them. No Fantastic Four tower, not a damn thing, just a colossal elevator to nowhere. Really shows the kind of care they put into this movie, huh? Fantastic Four: First Steps is the frontrunner for the worst movie I've seen all year. It's a disposable piece of content meant only to set up characters for the movie that Disney actually wants to make, that being Avengers Doomsday. In the coming years, it will be forgotten, just like everything else post-Endgame, and its legacy will be nothing more than a very large, very red number on a balance sheet somewhere. I wish it didn't have to be this way, I really do. I wish that movies like this were made for the love of the characters, or the writing, or just filmmaking in general. But alas, Hollywood has become nothing more than a money laundering scheme, and if the people making this schlock don't care anymore, then why should I? Whatever, let's just put this whole movie behind us. Disney sure as hell already has. Anyway, that's all I've got for you this time, so if you could do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons, I'd really appreciate it. Every little bit really helps me out. Also, go ahead and take a look at the other videos on my channel, or hit up my website to see my blog, and maybe check out my books on Amazon. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.